Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. But for a radio audience here in Mississippi, at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all could be with us. Also, joining us, our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all could be with us as well. Well, I think everyone these days are thinking about the pandemic and the impact that COVID-19 has had on all of us. As the U.S. continues to lead the world in fighting COVID, new plans are being discussed that could help reduce the risk of new variants developing and finally allow us to get back to some semblance of normalcy. Here to discuss the plan, we're so excited to welcome Michelle Nunn to our program. Michelle is the president and CEO of Care USA. Michelle, thank you so much for this time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Cyrus. It's great to be with you.
So as I mentioned, that there are these plans that are being discussed. Can you tell us a little bit about the plans that are being discussed right now?
Yes, well, the president and the U.S. government set the goal of achieving 70% vaccination globally in 2022. And we all, I think, recognize that with the global pandemic, you need to have a global set of solutions. So right now, what we need to do is lean into actually funding our capacity to deliver against that goal. And so Congress is currently considering a $17 billion supplemental, which means that they would pass legislation that would enable us to fund the actual delivery of these vaccines around the world. And we, again, know that no one is safe until everyone is safe. And we see this repeatedly as variants wash over us wave after wave, just as we think that we are moving back into normalcy. So this is just incredibly critical.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, Michelle, because, I mean, since we are all dealing with this pandemic, right, I think, as you said, I mean, it is something that impacts all of us, and we've seen it in everything that we do, including with supply chain issues that we've been seeing as well. Could this plan being considered, Michelle, could it help us to kind of free us up even from those issues as we kind of get back to a sense of normalcy?
Absolutely. I mean, we all are, as you say, in our day-to-day lives, seeing issues of supply chain, something that we need that's not available to us. It's because of the disruption around the world. And even if the U.S. gets back to some normalcy, if the rest of the world doesn't get back to normalcy, then we have the problem with supply chain. We have global disruptions in the economy that can cost literally and have cost trillions of dollars. And we also have the next potential variant. And, again, we cannot end this pandemic here in the United States unless we end it around the world. And that's why this is just so important. And it's actually, when you talk about billions of dollars, it's a lot of money. But if you put it in perspective, what's being asked for here is less than 1% of what we have spent on the war in Afghanistan to end what has been the most disruptive of all of our lifetimes in terms of crisis and challenge.
Wow. So I mentioned, of course, the role that the U.S. is playing, Michelle, and I think you've laid it out, especially with this plan, how the U.S. can continue to be a source of guidance for others. How do you see the U.S. continue to be able to lead the world as we try to be able to deal not only with COVID, but also the things that are coming from it?
Well, I think the U.S. can be really proud of stepping up here. The U.S. has done really, is leading the way. It's done more than any other nation. And if you think about the miracle of the production of the vaccines, there's now the supply is increasing. What we now need to do is, though, ensure that that these vaccines are delivered. Because if they're sitting in warehouses or tarmacs on airports in countries like Haiti or South Sudan, that's not going to get the job done. So we simply need to invest in that last mile delivery to ensure that, again, those vaccines get into arms, that we get to 70% plus, and that we can save the lives that otherwise might be lost by not equitably ensuring that people around the world have access to these vaccines. So it's critical both from a humanitarian perspective, but also from the perspective of returning our lives back to normal.
For more information, our audience can go to www.endcovidnow.com. Again, that's www.endcovidnow.com. Again, our guest has been Michelle Nunn, the President and CEO of Care USA. Michelle, thank you so much for the time today. Really appreciate you stopping by and looking forward to having you back on the program again.
Thanks, Iris. Really appreciate it.
We thank you, and we thank you, our audience, for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.